Good morning. Today we are going to discuss what if England never invaded Ireland. Ireland is an island close to Britain. The Romans already knew Ireland and Ireland became very Christianized afterwards. Throughout the years, missionaries from Ireland were sent throughout Western Europe to reconvert it after the Germanic invasions. We know Ireland as the Green Island and also as a country that fought fiersomely for their independence, similar to Poland in a way. In the recent years, Ireland lost much of its original language, Gaelic, but they are trying to protect their national language with some degrees of success. Ireland used to be divided in many smaller principalities, kingdoms, and much of Ireland's past is not really known, but many things such as laws, for instance, there we know that they were passed orally, and in Ireland there was a huge tradition of oral culture. There was a title of a so-called High King of Ireland, and inheritance in Ireland and all those different principalities were a little bit complicated. So how do we pull this off? What if England never invaded Ireland? In this scenario, invaded means that all of Ireland is taken by England. So first of all, we have to go way deep into the 8th century, back when the first Viking raids were happening. The Vikings had a lot of success in Ireland because Ireland was very isolated and never totally integrated in Europe. And Ireland never really used their warfare, and they actually had until the 13th century warriors that, they were fighting almost naked and with feathers according to some sources. So of course there is always a certain degree of uncertainty that we should not really trust these sources, but even so, if they had these types of warriors, well, good luck winning a war. Ireland doesn't also have a huge manpower pool, so they need to change a lot in terms of military tactics. A first thing that would need to happen is that Ireland would imitate or at least assimilate some warfare ideas from the Vikings and also from the new invasion that came from Northumbria, for instance. It would take some years for these ideas to spread throughout Ireland, of course, until eventually it would reach most of the island. They would also need to be integrated in the international trade, so they would also get other ideas from other parts, such as, let's say, Brittany or parts of France. This is important as it will make the scenario less ASB. The next thing that needs to happen is that the Treaty of Windsor would never happen or just be very different. So let's say that the King of Ireland, the High King, managed to unite most of Ireland in the years after the Viking invasions. In OTL, the Treaty of Windsor stated that the High King of Ireland needed to owe fealty to Henry II. So that means that he is loyal to Henry II, thus putting him in a position much lower than the English king. In this alternate treaty, Ireland would probably still give up some of their territories to England until a certain point. So in there's still an invasion going on from England to Ireland, but it's only repulsive to some smaller pockets. So they are very small parts of Ireland that are then taken by England, but not all of Ireland, of course. England had their own share of problems, especially with the 100 Years' Wars. This would be the perfect opportunity for Ireland to reconquer the parts occupied by England and to be further integrated in European diplomacy by having alliances with Scotland and France. Surely the 100 Years wouldn't change on a bigger scale, but Ireland would be able to regain their territories. It was also in those years where Ireland would further develop their navy, not to conquer England yet, but to defend Dublin especially, as it's one of these areas that have very easy access to the sea. The Tudor period would bring the largest changes. In OTL, Wales had their own law system, etc., and they became annexed by England. At the same time, Henry VIII became King of Ireland, which of course would not happen in ATL, in this alternate timeline. Moreover, Ireland might see not only the annexation of Wales as a problem, but even get support by Rome to recreate order in England after England broke from the Catholic Church. So, you see, the thing is that very often religion was used as some sort of excuse to have invasions plans beforehand, and if you got the blessing of the Pope, well, you were good to go. Anglicism wouldn't exist, and Wales at first would get independent, but fall under Irish influence, and Welsh, the language, would regain importance in Wales. Wales could even be elevated by the Pope into some kind of duchy, and later on the Welsh Duke could owe fealty to Ireland instead. And England would find itself in a position where they would lose all their lands in mainland Europe to France, and where they would face troubles to expand by a navy, because they would be blocked by the French, by the Scottish, and by the Irish. And well, Scotland, they would of course also take advantage of this situation, and Ireland as well. So they would come to each other's aid, as well as France, and they could thus form a very long-lived alliance, just like England had with Portugal in OTL. So Scotland and Ireland, they would not really compete for the same English regions, and both would recognize that it was way more beneficial for them to keep each other around than fighting each other, because that in return would mean that England could jump in and take back some of the territories. Now, fast forward, Canada would be known as Quebec, and the East Coast would be a collection of Dutch, Scottish, Irish, Scandinavian colonies, maybe even some German minor colonies, states that could potentially mix with some Native American tribes or just be completely European, we don't know. And the dynamics, they would be very different, and probably only the Spanish colonies could do well, as Spain would be virtually unopposed except by France. And well, Portugal is a bit tricky, as it could become an extension of Spain, so it could be integrated into the Spanish kingdom, as England would not be there as an ally. Or the French, they could make an intervention to keep Portugal somehow alive, so maybe it would play out the same way, maybe not, but a sure thing is that Spain would have way more colonies, or stronger colonies, in the Americas. Ireland would have a lot of goods they could trade. They were known for textiles, animal products, and mostly wanted to import luxury goods, which they could get from Africa, for instance, especially the Gold Coast and modern-day Ghana. Colonies in that region of Africa might even seem very likely. Industrialization would most likely start from the Netherlands, because Belgium would in that timeline still be part of the Netherlands, and spread throughout Europe from there on. And France as well as Germany would compete against each other. While France would have allies like Scotland and Ireland, Germany would have the Netherlands and also perhaps England as an ally. If fascism would arise in such a scenario, it would definitely get a foothold in England, where some sort of an ideology of natural borders would become popular, but without a lot of success, in my opinion. So that's where we stop it today. that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my video. Be sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment, support me also on Patreon, and join my forum, forum.planetalthistory.ga. Until next time on Planet Alt History.